to prompt you. The GPTs are designed to prompt you and to help guide you. So rather than you having to do all of the prompt engineering, you can focus on sharing your ideas, your expertise, and so on. I started building this system at the beginning of last year. And at this point, I've spent over 3,000 hours using ChatGPT and prompt engineering, entirely focused on this chain of thought approach. In terms of my background, I started off my career actually as a religion scholar. I was in a PhD program at Princeton. Went on to, I ran social media for Volkswagen, worked in agencies in New York City for a number of years, and then developed this dialogue-based approach to innovation. I've written 4 books, and the stuff that I'm teaching here is really kind of the culmination of about a 30-year career doing these dialogue-based approaches to innovation, marketing, strategy, and so on. So the way the system is set up, I'm going to show you the full system here, and I'll show you also a suite that's specifically designed for AI marketing, and then we'll get into the training. So the way that Creator Pro is set up, we have these different categories: leadership, marketing and sales, clients and content, coaching. I'll dive into one of these. So you can see under vision and leadership, we have GPTs for executive leadership, strategy, research, things like that. We have GPTs around how to develop products, product roadmaps, MVPs, how to integrate AI into your workflows, GPTs around startup positioning. So if you're a startup and raising money, how do you position yourself to investors? How do investors evaluate pitch decks? How do you do finance analysis, revenue forecasting, things like that? Then we also have GPTs specifically related to marketing and strategy, how to do your value ladder, create offers, partnerships and affiliate programs, RFPs and sales proposals. How do you do complete integrated marketing plans, lead magnets, funnels, cold email drip campaigns. All of these are specifically designed for advanced workflows. Today, we're going to go into the last time, for those of you who were here, we did a demo of the brand architect. We have a live training of this in our knowledge center, which all of you can access for free if you missed our last one. And then we also have one for ICP prospecting. And this is what we're going to go through today. How do you develop personas and do kind of customer journey mapping and stuff like that? So all of Creator Pro, the way that I've set it up, I went through 3 different iterations of the product. And I realized that I wasn't really building a technology company. I was building really a parallel workflow system for ChatGPT. So I quickly realized that I couldn't just give people GPTs and expect them to learn how to use them. So we created this kind of learning system environment. So what's unique to what we're doing is we're combining the trainings with GPTs to provide you with a more guided experience, step-by-step experience in the system. And then we also have these different mastermind trainings around more complex workflows, such as the AI marketing certification program that we're launching next Friday. So all of these have like an overview, step-by-step video, link to access the GPT, instructions on how to use them. If you click that, you can access the output from the demo video. So all I'd have to do is just click Access GPT, and then it goes ahead and opens up inside of ChatGPT. So GPTs, as most of you know, these are like, you add them to ChatGPT like you're adding apps to your phone. So just one click, and then it's there, and you can access it in the sidebar at any time. I want to show you just real quickly now. This is our AI and digital marketing suite. So this is specifically, it's a more pared down and refined version of Creator Pro. So I showed you the full suite with 60 GPTs, which is designed for advanced workflows and leadership to run run and scale any type of organization. This one is more specifically designed for agency owners, and marketers, CMOs. So we have GPTs specifically around client acquisition and marketing, around digital marketing and analysis, around project and client management, and then around branding and content. So in the certification program that we're doing next week, we'll be doing a combination of how do you use these specific GPTs, and then how do you also use AI for advanced workflows. I'm going to just drop a couple of links into the chat, and we'll ask if you save any questions until the end, and then I will. There's the certification program that we're launching next week. Let me also. We also have a free challenge. I'll drop that in. For those of you who are interested in learning more, this is what our free knowledge center looks like. So there's a few GPTs. There's actually an Easter egg GPT in there around the marketing training that we did, and then there's a full intro course on how to use ChatGPT. I'll drop a link to that in the chat as well. And so there's a link to the Knowledge Center. And then for folks who are interested in more trainings and stuff, we're doing a free 3-day challenge next week as a kind of pre-training leading up to the launch of the certification program. Let me just pop that in the chat.
And David, while you do this, is the one quick question that came in the chat.
Sure.
How much of this do you need the paid version of ChatGPT for versus free?
So great question. So you can use GPTs for free. So the short answer is anyone can access them. But I would say that being said, the GPTs that we've designed are for really complex workflows. I mean, they're the types of things that would typically might take you a week, or with basic ChatGPT might take you a few hours. We try and design these advanced workflows to get through them in anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. And I say that because the advanced workflows, when you're going through a lot of tokens, the free version, it gives you a certain number of responses, a certain number of tokens, and you may blow through all of your free tokens before you finish a particular workflow. So if you want to build a complete marketing campaign, for example, you might not be able to finish that in one session using a free version of ChatGPT. Now, that being said, the reason why I chose to build on top of ChatGPT directly, as opposed to accessing their API and putting something behind a paywall, is because the types of advanced workflows that we're doing with Creator Pro, they're comparable to other SaaS platforms that you might be spending $200 or $300 a month for, because with the typical SaaS company, there's a markup for engineering costs, there's a markup for API costs, you have to pay for all of the data. Whereas with our approach, you have a $20 a month ChatGPT Plus subscription, or you have a $30 a month per user team subscription, and you're able to basically access like an enterprise level software for a fraction of the cost. So from my perspective, in terms of building Creator Pro, is I wanted to democratize access to these tools that typically only marketers with really large budgets can afford. So that's been my vision behind why I've taken this approach. And then with our platform, you basically get access to all of these tools at one price. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up. I'm gonna stop sharing, and then I'm gonna open up and share my ChatGPT app. So now so today we're going to go through the how to create a persona and multiple different types of personas. Did that answer your question? Can you revise the link for the Learning Center? Did it not come through? Oh, it looks like I'm sorry. It looks like I copy and pasted the same link twice. My bad. Second, let me get that.
GPTs can hallucinate, but not real people,
I
right?
see. I only copied messaging instead. I didn't get the full URL. There you go. There's the link
you.
to the Knowledge Center. Thanks for catching that, Todd. So similar to last time, I thought it would be fun for us as a group to go through and create what are the personas that we're going after with the AI Marketing Guild. So the way that the GPTs work, we just hit, let's develop my ICP. What are the steps? What do you need to start? Now, one of the things that I really like about the ChatGPT app is you can, you can show maybe by a raise of hands how many people have actually used the desktop app or have much experience with that, or the mobile app. But one of the things that I really like about it is when we look down at the bottom here, so you can see there's a microphone and then there's the headphones. So what we can do is basically, what that means is that I can type what I want. I can also use voice to text and speak what I want. And I can use a combination of voice to text and speech and uploading files. So it means from a user experience perspective, you have all these different options of how to use ChatGPT. And when you have the combination of ChatGPT with the chain of thought workflows, they kind of guide you from start to finish. One of my basically the way that I like working, I will literally load up a bunch of stuff on ChatGPT. Then I will often pick up the conversation on my phone and I'll just go ahead and take a walk for 30 to 45 minutes and talk through something. And then I have proposals done, I have campaigns done, I have all this stuff done, and I've spent no time looking at my screen. And I found that to be, just from a productivity and workflow perspective, to just be a complete game changer. Because I feel like, especially as marketers, as creatives, like we're just more in flow when we're not staring at screens. And I really love that that way of doing work. It's been a complete life changer for me. So you can see here, you can see it says just let's develop my ICP. And so now we're starting to get all these different things. So it's coming up, it's saying we're going to go through a few different stages. So stage one is discovery and creating an initial blueprint. We're going to look at who the target market is, geographic location, company size, stuff like that. Then we'll get into doing some in-depth research, and then we'll create a draft of the ICP. So if you've used basic ChatGPT, sometimes you'll get results that are similar to this, but oftentimes when you get into complex tasks and workflows, it has a way of kind of getting off the rails. And so having all of these things happening and guiding in the background means that you're more likely and better off to get a faster result, and especially with the finishing details. So what we're going to do here now is just kind of as a group exercise, we can play with the voice to text. And so you can either, I'm going to ask you to we'll either talk about, okay, what is the ICP? Who is the target market or persona for the AI Marketers Guild? And if you don't feel like sharing or talking, you can also type your comments into the chat. So why don't we start And maybe David, you could share a little bit, who is the kind of target audience for the AI Marketers Guild? And then of course, all of you here are all members as well. So feel free to share or share who you see the community being.
Well, yeah, I'll start. We've got marketers typically is skewing mid-senior level. Most of the folks you see on camera, this isn't their first rodeo. But then and the biggest question I get asked is, are you for marketers who are interested in AI, or for AI companies that are trying to market themselves? There's a lot of overlap between the two, and it's more like those who are here to participate and just learn from others, whether you're very new to AI and emerging technologies, or whether you're an expert with a lot to share. And in the mix, we have brands and agencies and startup founders and press and analysts. And so I like yeah, I like that we have more of a well-rounded community, and lawyers, sales leaders, and people who can kind of cross-pollinate things and help each other out. And yes, yeah, they're definitely like I love having founders in the group, because they're often the ones building, or even if they're not building an AI, I think they're very quick to immediately apply what we learn and can help us all learn faster.
Okay, great. Aaron shared, I actually have seen a bunch of startup entrepreneurs in this group. And Seda, did I pronounce your name correctly? Said insight leaders.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go ahead and just I'm gonna translate this. And so one of the cool things about how the voice to text stuff works in ChatGPT, if you've never used this before, the voice to text translation in ChatGPT is probably like it's arguably the best around. A lot of people focus so much on the underlying technology of ChatGPT. The voice to text is amazing. And you can also use voice to text by chatting in real time, but if you're chatting in real time, you can't see access to the screen here. So one of the workflows that we've been doing, we've actually been using this workflow where we will bring GPTs into a conversation with clients. So we'll actually create, you can build brands, build campaigns, build stuff like this. I mean, you can actually do stuff in real time with clients, as opposed to having a call and then taking the transcript and doing something later. So it's actually, it's a little bit more efficient. It's also, I could also add, I could then edit this text. One of the workflows that we've been doing is we've been having people share stuff in comments and then share stuff in conversation. We can add files, we can add links. So from an information flow perspective, it gets really interesting. With ChatGPT, because it's multimodal, you can also even take screenshots. You can upload documents. We even sometimes, if you have an idea, you can sketch something on a piece of paper and upload it through your phone, take a picture of it, take a screenshot of it. So there's lots of really cool ways that you can use ChatGPT, and in combination with the GPTs, it becomes a lot of fun. So you can see, like, notice just there's no prompt engineering, there's no anything. Now it's I've sometimes we will copy and paste comments, sometimes we'll just read them off. So you can see it says initial audience overview, mid to senior level marketers, different experience levels, interest in AI.
Yeah, and Dave, two things also that just stand out to me right away with this. Yeah, one is that I did use colloquialisms, and I joked about this in the chat, saying like rodeos, like I was speaking very naturally, trying not to prompt engineer, and it knew when I was being colloquial and like what to interpret there. So that always just fascinates me. And then also kind of related to that, I didn't use the word diverse because I want this to be as diverse group as possible, but it's also, it has so many connotations for people. So I was talking about more of a cross-functional, lots of mixed experience. And it interpreted that into a very understandable meaning of diversity, which is a goal of mine, whether or not we've achieved it. So I like how it interprets and doesn't just spit back something literal.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, and it's I mean, notice, I mean, basically, so you all understand what's happening. Basically, in the background, it's like it's auto magically applying a mega prompt where it's using it's creating recursive feedback loops. It's guiding the conversation, and then this content is then being dynamically generated without having to worry about any type of prompt engineering. And so you can see at the end, it's also prompting us, right? So, you know, a lot of times when you're using ChatGPT, you write something like, okay, great. Now what do I do? Okay, now what do I do? Okay, you know, it's like what I've found in terms of a workflow is that when the cognitive load of having to worry about telling what ChatGPT needs to do is lifted, and you can focus entirely on your creativity and your ideas, you just get a lot better results. I also feel like it's a better optimized for flow. So you can see now it's saying to further refine this ICP, here are a few more questions. We're pretty good on time. Why don't we go through this and maybe go a little bit deeper? So there's 3 questions. Okay, great. So there's 3 questions on key challenges, primary goals, and psychographics. Let's maybe share a little bit deeper and just get a level of the deeper insights that might come out.
And yeah, does anyone want to share a challenge you're hoping this community can help you with? And I know we got a lot of them, so I'd rather hear in your words.
I'd love to share. This is Sandra. Hello. Hey, David.
Hi,
Sandra.
Sandra.
Hey, David. I guess one of the things is, yeah, just being an entrepreneurial role, managing a lot. And I think like there's just so many of these tools, and determining which ones to pay for and which ones to not pay for. That's a challenge. Like, so yeah, I think that like you could just spread your, small dollars very thin by investing in so many different platforms, but it's really kind of understanding which ones are the ones that are most necessary, I guess, and needed.
Okay, great. So primary goal,
Actually, I
helping
think
to
like on
make
like more business enterprisey things, like the more business workflow things, like you have to basically pay to be able to leverage those tools. So that's what I'm struggling with a bit.
Okay, great. Does anyone have anything else you want to share? You can also put, if you don't want to talk, you could also put comments into the chat.
And we could get into primary goals as well. Is there anyone who wants to tackle that? Learn, network, find AI solutions, something else?
I have a question. My biggest challenge right now is I've created 2 online courses, and now I'm sort of going backwards to do a little more market research to figure out, is it too much what I've created? Do I need to make it a hybrid where I'm doing, some live portions of coaching as well as the online? So market research is something that I'm interested in. I created a survey, but I'm definitely interested in hearing more information.
Great, thank you, Amy.
Okay, so
I have a question as well. I'd like to kind of throw in for the lot. Is that okay?
sure. Yeah.
So this is Michelle. And I recently went back and got certified at Stanford in digital transformations and marketing AI at Cornell. And so I feel like I'm ahead of the curve in a lot of ways. And I love this program because there are still insights that I can grab from it. But what I've been really interested in is the holistic like approach, like AI is one solution, but if we step back, it's a digital transformation. At least the globals that I work with, I mean, they're like cruise ships right now trying to turn. The smaller companies are much more agile and able to pivot more. And I think are having a lot more success with this type of integration. But my question is I think marketing can be a catalyst for digital transformation within a company, and it's a great entry point. And I think all of us have an opportunity with that. I would be interested in learning more about how we can sell that into companies because it's a very competitive space right now, but how marketing and public relations and the whole toolbox can be more than just the solution, and how to work with clients on possibly how do we train them? How do we train their marketing teams? So I don't know if that can be addressed, but I'd love to see some coursework on that.
Well, from a coursework perspective, I would say that that's the primary focus of the trainings and certification programs that we're offering right now. So I think that, and I'll talk about those a little bit later, but one of the things that I would say is like there's kind of like two different approaches to learning AI right now. And one I would say is very technical heavy, like how do you prompt, how do you use a GPT, it's very technical and tactical. And then there are other approaches which I would say come from a more like traditional executive MBA style approach, where you're learning a kind of strategic overview of how AI fits within a kind of operational framework across an organization. And a lot of times that side can lack actual tactical execution stuff in terms of how do you actually use AI to make decisions. And then the technical side tends to be people who are very technical and they don't have any actual leadership experience. And the vision that I've had behind Creator Pro, I'm not sure if you were here at the beginning, but I went through a little bit about the system. Like we've taken this holistic approach from day one, and we've gone through at this point 2 different 8-week masterminds, and have gone through a bunch of refinement. And so we pair all of the AIs and GPTs with specific trainings, and we try and combine that, like the strategic and tactical operation stuff with the practical, actually, how do you use AI? And that's really the goal with the leadership programs and the certification programs that we're offering. And that's been the vision behind how David and I started collaborating and thinking about this as a program to offer to the AIMG community. So this would be one example of that, like using this GPT. I would also say that I think you're correct that marketing is often like the driver of AI into an organization, because marketers within the context of most companies are the most digitally savvy. They're also using a combination of creative and data and analytics. So they're really thinking, they're already kind of like tuned in to thinking about things from the perspective of how you would actually utilize AI. And they tend to be the most innovative people within most companies. Not always the case, but I think that tends to be the case, especially in larger clients like the ones that you had mentioned, Michelle. So it's starting to bring in some different stuff here. You can see it's saying like, thank you for sharing deeper insights. And so now it's starting to come in, bringing in some key challenges. It's referencing some of you by name. So the tool overload, enterprise level adoption, market research, and product fit. And now it's starting to look at some of the primary goals that we might have, and then looking at some of the psychographic information. And then based upon that, it started to look at a primary ICP. I'm going to say, this looks great. Why don't you draft an outline of the primary ICP and then also the secondary ICPs and integrate all the information that we just went through. and then we'll be ready to proceed to the next step. Now, I could also easily, is this magic? You know, it's funny. I feel like the direction AI is going increasingly feels more like magic. I've actually the approach that I've been coming up with Creator Pro, I refer to it as insight architecting, because I think that in contrast to the prompt engineering approach, which is like very technical, I think when I think of insight architecting, I think that we are literally we're engaging with AI to create things that are better than the things that we can do ourselves. And it's not a matter of what I can do and what AI can do, but it's what can we co-create together. Like we actually a couple days ago we did a workshop with 30 women, and we went through like what does it mean to what does it mean to have a purpose in the age of AI? What does that actually look like? We had 2 women facilitators facilitating the conversation. We had women sharing their thoughts, writing things in the chat, and we went through this collective brainstorming exercise and came up with a really interesting story and different ideas. And there's ways in which you can use AI in the context of like group conversations in a really interesting way, as opposed to just doing one-on-one work as well. And of course, this is an example as well, right? We're going through this as a group exercise, doing things live. So it's coming up here. We have like, there's some information on demographics, behavioral patterns, key challenges, primary goals, psychographics. Then we're getting into the secondary ICPs around startup founders and entrepreneurs, AI tool providers and secondary startups, course creators and educators, insight leaders and analysts. Notice we're getting all of this highly detailed information with, you know, absolutely no prompt engineering, right? We're just kind of talking through this stuff. So I'm going to say, so this looks great. Let's now proceed to the next step, and let's augment this with some research as well. So please search Bing and help us to get some greater insights into this. So the way that I've designed these, not all of the GPTs have these, but some of them I have it specifically start looking online and trying to pull in more current information. In the case of developing personas and prospecting, you might get additional levels of market research or insights or stuff like that. So it's starting to pull in some additional stuff around challenges facing AI adoption, some stuff around primary goals. It's interesting. It's bringing in some statistics. It's giving me links to different surveys and stuff like that. This type of stuff gets really cool. You know, if you're doing marketing and you have to really get into creating, you know, personas and customer journey mapping and stuff, and you want to have something that's very data driven, this allows you to very quickly start mapping out a customer journey and creating profiles and stuff like that. And notice, you know, I've been talking, we've gotten all this stuff in only 20 minutes. So I'm going to say, okay, this looks great. Why don't you integrate all of this stuff? Then let's proceed to the next step. And so basically we've come up with an ICP with primary ICP, different secondary ICPs. It's starting to give me a kind of overview. Of course, we can expand this. We can go a lot deeper on any of these if we want to. And then it's going to start to help me to create a personalized communication strategy around these as well. So if I was going through this for an actual client or something like that, or going through it if I'm a CMO or leading marketing for a company, I could then basically have a clear sense of who our primary target is, who our different secondary ones are. Then I can start looking at creating a communication strategy from a holistic perspective that is targeting these multiple different personas. So it's coming up with like primary, mid, senior level marketers and founders interested in AI, secondary startup founders and entrepreneurs, AI tech companies, course creators and educators. And now it's starting to lead me now through blueprinting a communication strategy. So I'll just say, and again, notice I can switch back and forth between voice to text or typing or whatever. And this is the type of workflow that, because the GPTs with the reasoning libraries are guiding you in the background and all the formatting and stuff is there. This is something that I could do if I was even on my phone. I could just put on my headphones and talk through this, which I think has just been it's been a huge game changer. So now it's starting to put together some ideas around campaign goals and strategies, starting to give some ideas around a messaging blueprint. It's starting to look at a different approach to channel strategies, right? Email campaigns, some LinkedIn messaging, some webinars and educational content, some ideas around blog content and marketing. And then it's looking at some specific messaging points around the different secondary ICPs. So this is just kind of a kind of tasting and overview of all of the possible things you can do from a kind of advanced marketing perspective in terms of building out personas, creating customer journey mapping, starting to create messaging that's taking a kind of holistic approach to messaging across primary audiences, different secondary targets, different channels. These are the types of things that I'm going to stop sharing this. And then I want to talk a little bit about the marketing program, and then I'll allow some time for questions. I would say that myself, I mean, when I thought about building Creator Pro, my entire background has been in innovation strategy, in really like complex multi-channel marketing campaigns for big brands. I've done this stuff my entire career, and I wanted to, and very early on, I intuitively felt, okay, we have to look at AI from a holistic perspective. We can't keep thinking about marketing and stuff from the perspective of like individual channels, individual tools. Like the whole point of AI is to actually help us to have access to this super intelligence and to be able to do significantly more. So my goal with the whole system that I've created and with the trainings is to really give you this kind of holistic perspective on AI. And so in thinking about this as a program, I wanted to, rather than have this be like multiple consecutive weeks, I thought, well, why don't we have a group of like clusters of 3-hour workshops where let's go through in depth at a level of like intermediate to advanced marketing, let's go through some of the complex challenges that marketers typically face. And so that led to creating this approach to this AI marketing certification program using ChatGPT. So the objectives of the program, right? We want to give you the skill sets and the mindsets around AI marketing. So it's not just about tactical stuff. It's also like preparing you for a future where AI agents are coming, where you can figure out, okay, which type of tools do I need to use? How do I think holistically about AI? A lot of the things that you had mentioned, Michelle, like these have been top of mind for in my thinking and approach to this stuff for the last 2 years. And to be honest with you, I'm really excited about this program because a lot of the trainings I've been doing, I would say, have been more entry level to beginner level. And I'm really excited to have something that is really designed for like intermediate to advanced marketers. I know like the average AIMG member has about 10 years of marketing experience, and I wanted to offer something that is really kind of speaking to where people are at in terms of their needs. So the goal of this is, to help you integrate AI into your strategy, to do advanced AI techniques, such as what we just went through with the ICPs, to validate your experience as a leader. So it's not just about the hands-on learning. I mean, we're going to do that. We'll give you access to different GPTs. Also a real opportunity to network with peers and to go a little bit deeper. So when I think of a mindset shift, I think of like, what does it look like to have AI as your CMO? I think right now, like the way that I think about all these tools is that I think ChatGPT will remain the market leader. I think that there are always going to be special use cases where we need particular tools for different types of things. But I think in the future, all marketers are going to basically need to learn how to use ChatGPT to make informed decisions. And there might be other tools that you're using, but you're going to be basically having a conversation and making decisions and then thinking about how you're going to execute them, possibly with other tools. But I would think you're even asking ChatGPT, which tools should I be using? In the future, I'm talking like the next couple of years, ChatGPT will be smarter than all of us. And so we need to understand, how do you tap into this super intelligence to help guide us? So thinking of AI as a CMO, this mindset shift to being AI first, and then a combination of mastering core skills. I also think that as AI gets increasingly better, I think the workflows are not really going to change very much. And what I mean by that is like, you still need to know how to do multi-channel campaigns. You still need to know how to build a brand. You still need to know how to do customer journey mapping, right? There's the tactics and best practices for marketing, I feel like, are not going to change. The way that we execute them is going to change. But my thinking around this program is, let's focus on the core skills and workflows and stuff that we need to learn as a foundation for marketers in this new age of AI. So the way that we've set this up, there's 4 sessions starting next Friday. The first one is on, it's kind of like an intro overview to mastering ChatGPT. So looking at chain of thought, looking at advanced prompt engineering techniques. How do you think about using the latest reasoning models? How do you think about using the different types of GPTs? Thinking about tool selection, stuff like that. This one I would say is like the kind of the foundation strategy mindset, and then also just as a as we think of going on this journey together, it's also a way for all of us to get to know each other a little bit if you're participating in the live course. So then we get into the next week, which is looking at strategic decision making, brand building, content planning, custom GPTs. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a brand building exercise. How do you build your brand? How do you then take the outputs from building your brand and create a custom GPT? So you might have a GPT that's trained in your brand voice. How do you create content plans, content calendars? This is kind of like the core foundations of using ChatGPT from a kind of branding and content perspective. Teaching you also how to build your own GPTs and some best practices around that. Then we'll get into a kind of more expanded version of what we went through today, getting into ICPs, customer journey mapping, lead generation, how to go from developing the ICPs to actually executing campaigns, designing funnels, stuff like that. And then in the last week, we'll get into cross-channel marketing, campaign development, building ads, how to look at analytics and stuff like that. And so the goal of these, like if you think of these holistically, I really feel like these are the foundational skills and skills, strategies, and mindset that you need as an agency owner or as a CMO or a mid to senior level marketer. So the goal then is really to help you with integrating AI into decision making, to optimizing workflows, adopting an AI first mindset, and then preparing you for the future as well. So we think of this as really a course for CMOs and senior marketing leaders, for founders and executives, and for startup founders and entrepreneurs. You know, very similar to the stuff that came up today when we went through the ICP exercise together. I'm really excited to be doing this. You know, David and I, we've been talking about this. We're thinking about this and talking about this for a couple of months. Really excited to share this with the AIMG community and to partner with all of you. I really feel like David's been doing some amazing work building out this community. And you know, when you think of a marketing guild, right? You think a guild is it's a professional organization with a certain level of competencies. And I'm really excited to kind of share this as a partnership and as a certification program, where, you know, as people finish, you'll also get a certification you could put on LinkedIn and so on. So we're going to be going through, like, you know, strategic mastery, hands-on learning, real-world application, comprehensive skill development. So you're going to get access to, you'll get access to the GPTs that we use. You'll get a certification, the community networking, all that sort of stuff. We've talked a little bit about who we are, at Creator Pro, as well as the AI Marketing Guild. Everyone will also earn a certification as well for finishing this. That's a little bit about me. I won't share. We've had a number of glowing testimonials from people over the past couple years. I won't read those, but you can go through them yourself. And then we've come up with a few different pricing options. We wanted to have a version that was highly affordable and on demand for people that maybe didn't want to participate in the live training. We have a live training option where you'll get access to the GPT links that we're using. So you'll get access to the ones we're using in the course. But then we also have, as I showed you in the beginning, we have the whole Creator Pro system. So we have the digital marketing suite, which you could get access to, which has additional training videos and stuff like that. And if you want to go continuing on with me and going deeper in your journey afterwards, accessed with the digital suite or with the full system also comes with additional 6 months of group coaching or a year of group coaching with the full system. So that's kind of an overview of all of these, the different programs. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we have access to a bunch of these trainings in the past trainings and GPTs in our Knowledge Center, and there's also a free 3-day challenge next week. So if you want to go a little bit deeper on this stuff as a pre-training to the certification program, you can join that as well. And that's this is happening next week. This is for those of you who may have joined late, we have the free challenge starting next week. I'm going to drop a link to that and also a link to the certification programs. Again, these were kind of earlier in the chat.
Awesome. And yeah, and we'll send all these to everyone after too, just
Yeah.
so if you don't have to see everything from the chat, you'll.
So I feel pretty proud of myself that I managed time and got through that by the top of the hour. I'm happy to stay after also and answer any questions. But anyways, I'm very excited to be offering this. This has been a lot of work and a lot of refinement as well. You know, I've done so many of these webinars and 8-week masterminds leading up to this, and I'm really feel like I'm really excited to lead a more experienced group of AI marketers through this and sharing all our stuff. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Yeah, well, thanks for everyone for spending some of your Friday with us. This is yeah, David, I mean, most importantly, thank you, because again, I'm always learning a ton just by getting to see what you do live, and so there's always just plenty I take away from it, which is why I wanted to partner with you in the first place.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jim Conley for making sure this partnership happened, and appreciate you, Jim, and appreciate all of you. So yeah, whether you're just here today or whether you're joining the course, just thank you all for your time and being part of this community. And thanks to the anonymous person, I don't see all the records, who did order one of these hoodies while on this call. So I appreciate that, and I look forward to being hoodie twins on a future update. All right, well, I hope you all have a wonderful and restful weekend, and I look forward to seeing you as soon as next week at more of these kinds of things.
Okay.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you, David.
David, were you taking questions at the end, or is that not available right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay? Yeah, and I just wanted to
go
stay
for
after to ask you a question. Yeah, so I've been looking through it. I love the program. I think this is great. I am a little nervous about the AI as your CMO language, though. So is this meant to be, and forgive me, I missed the first 8 minutes. I'm a little, you know, and just forgive me, I am a blunt person. But is it working ourselves out of a job then to use that kind of language? Because I mean, I function as senior strategist, all of that, work with CMOs, all of that, certainly not wanting someone's job to go away or be replaced with AI. Kind of like the idea now that they're saying, could a CEO do the job? Could AI do the job of a CEO? And they're saying, you know, 80% chance. The CEOs I work with, no, absolutely not, could not replace them. So I'm a little concerned about this language. Can you explain it to me better?
Sure. So I think that I think of AI as a CMO as really like, I don't like the language of digital twin.
Mhm.
A lot of people talk about AI being a digital twin or being something that can replace people. I like to think of it as something that is supplementing or augmenting the work that you're doing. But part of this also is I think the idea of AI as a CMO can be very helpful for people who might be startup founders who are kind of driving all of the direction of their organization.
Mhm.
So the way that I've designed Creator Pro, and I went through this a little bit in the beginning, which you may have missed, but we've created all of these different expert GPTs that kind of help
Mhm.
guide you in specific roles.
Mhm.
So the way that I actually think of ChatGPT as, and my approach is trying to transform ChatGPT into a team of PhD level consultants that are basically always there to help support you. And I think it's not a matter of trying to replace humans, but rather trying to augment the work to augment our roles. And when I think of also, I also think of a kind of complementary relationship between humans and AI, where if we're able to rely on AI for a lot of the analysis, synthesis, refinement, a lot of the meeting preparation, post-meeting follow-up, campaign building, a lot of the things that I would say are very like cognitively demanding, then it means that as leaders, we can accomplish significantly more.
Mhm.
So for example, like, I've done a lot of work in the past around flow states. And
Mhm.
typically flow, an average person can only stay in flow for about 2 hours. So you achieve 400% levels increases in productivity, but oftentimes because you're responsible for producing all of the outputs, you have to do all the refinement, it's very cognitively draining to the point where you need some type of like downtime afterwards. But when you're using AI, you don't have the cognitively demanding requirement of having to constantly produce everything. So you can focus on the flow of your ideas, your creativity, communications. You can actually accomplish significantly more and stay in flow for longer without the burnout and the crash. And
Mhm.
it's really kind of and I think from a leadership perspective, that's where I see AI being incredibly powerful.